We did the gauntlet. You know, I thought it was great because I didn't have to focus anything on air to ground, you know, with the F3. And so, it made things easier for me. It was less things to think about or know. We would do basic, after you got familiar with the airplane, we do basic 1v1s, we do basic tack form flying, and then we'd move into air combat training, beyond visual range stuff, 2v2, 1v1. Didn't really do any 4v stuff in the OCU that I remember. It wasn't until I got to Trouble One that we started doing that. Mm-hmm. But the training was very similar to what we did in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Almost identical. Mm-hmm.
So how did the F3 handle, and can you compare it to the Hornet maybe?
Well, the F3 was, not as user-friendly. The Hornet, I don't have wings that I have to move, so that made a difference. Also, one thing I want to note, with the Hornet, you jack the throttles around a lot especially when you're flying slow or doing 1v1 against somebody else. You can, a lot of times you might find the throttles fully at idle and full at afterburner, and you feel very safe in that airplane doing it. The F3, I think the engines handled it well, but there was a spot, any F3 pilot will tell you, you go to idle and then you throw it right back in the burner. It makes a loud boom because the fuel accumulates in the burner cans. It makes a big pop. Mm-hmm. And I was bad about that. I was counseled quite a bit, like, hey, be easy on that. Because it is kind of unnerving the first time it happens. You don't know, did I just blow the engine or something? But it just makes an audible sound. So the engines aren't as durable in that sense, which, has a little bit of a factor in how you fight the airplane. Mm-hmm. But I thought it flew great, especially once again, when you got the wings back, just trying to go straight and level and fast. I mean, any plane does that. You throw the wings forward in the F3. I thought it flew great. Yeah. Because the wings were manual, I remember there's a fine point on, when I first started flying it, I had to be a numbers guy. Like the speed, and the wing setting, and it was just one more dynamic to think about. But over time, and with good instruction like Roy McIntyre, in the squadron, he'll teach you real quick. You can feel the wings. They talk to you. They start vibrating. So as you're flying along, you feel the wings. The airplane's like kind of talking to you, like some kind of hum that you just perceive, right? And you need to pull the wings back a little bit more, and you keep doing that, and there's a fine line too when you put G on the airplane, like coming to merge with somebody. You would like to get as much wing out there as you can for maneuverability. And there's a fine line, like, pulling on the airplane, going 45 to wings full forward. I think it's 25 wing. I haven't looked at my numbers. It's been a long time, but it's starting to come back actually. But you're throwing that out there at the right time too. So that adds a certain dynamic to fight in the airplane that you don't have to worry about in the F-18, or think about. Where I talked about earlier being a more user-friendly interface, but by all means, it's just like riding a fancy bike versus the cheap bike. If sooner or later you get used to it, and with good training, you don't even notice the difference anymore.